Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
See if I can fix that. There you go. Done a Carl. Mike's on mute. Good evening, guys. Well, listen, I hope everyone had a great Easter, right? Jesus is the reason for the season, is what I'm going to tell you. The Pope's dead. Yay! Well, we've been told he's dead anyway. Let's see what happens. But, guys, what an absolute shit show. All right, we're going to bring people on this week who are going to have their little chat about what they think can and can't do. Respected people by you, the people, and why are they respected? Because you seem to conversate with these people and, share their posts and listen to what they say. So tonight we've got Jody Lowe on. But what we're going to do, guys, is we're just going to start with, like, what a shit show. Okay, don't even start with me Trump against the Patriots and all the rest of this bullshit out there, all right? I am friggin' not happy, and we'll talk about it, and I'll let you know who I've sent messages to and what hasn't happened. But, yeah, guys, just listen to this clip. We'll get this in, and then we'll bring Jody and myself in. Caz will join us as soon as she's ready, and we'll get this shit show on the road.
They live in a free, sovereign nation. But the truth is, Australia was quietly turned into a registered corporation without the people's consent. Here's what people need to know. 1. Australia is registered as a business in Washington, D.C. The Commonwealth of Australia is listed on United States Securities and Exchange Commission S databases. That means it's being run under corporate law, not common law or true sovereignty. This also applies to entities like the Australian Taxation Office, federal police, and courts. Many are ABNs, not constitutional bodies. Not 2. The 1973 Act, the real Constitution, was replaced. The original 1901 Constitution was based on the Crown and common law. In 1973, under Whitlam, a Royal Style and Titles Act was passed, effectively cutting the link with the British Crown without a referendum. From there, Australia was transitioned into a corporate entity. 3. Your rights were stripped without you knowing. The courts became administrative tribunals, not true courts of law. Fines, taxes, mandates, They're enforced by corporate policy, not lawful obligation. We vote for managers, not representatives. Parliament serves policy, not the people. 4. Global bodies now control the nation. WHO, UN, IMF, WEF, none elected by us, yet all influencing policy. Keating, Howard, Morrison, Albanese, they all serve foreign interests, banking cartels, and corporate partners. Australia is being sold piece by piece. Land, water, assets, even identity. So what can be done? The truth must spread. Australians must reclaim the original 1901 Constitution, declare their status as living men and women, not corporate entities, hold public referenda outside the corrupted system, unify under natural law and common law jurisdictions. The illusion is breaking. The system fears those who wake up. The time to reclaim our future is now.
Well, I feel that the illusion is breaking, guys. Good evening, Jody. Great to have you on the show again, mate. And the Easter weekend gave us an opportunity to go back to places where we've been restricted from, Jody, because, you know, even though it was a scammy time to pull out that little COVID was a scam thing on Easter when no one's probably looking at the paper and they're doing other things, it certainly has set the scene for some of the conversations around Easter family gatherings, and I'm hearing some good results, Jody. Maybe not apologies, but definitely the people out there are maybe starting to wake up to what's been going on. So what's your view on it, Jody? Who are we? Where are we? What are we? Was that intro correct? Are we being so? And obviously I'm talking here for the newbies that are coming to the show and watching the show, Jody, but what are we? Is this what we are?
Got a very big lag.
Oh my goodness!
We had a massive lag.
Big lag.
I don't know. Jody, are you hearing us?
Wow.
Okay, boot him out, Caz, and he'll come
He's bouncing all over the place. I could barely hear him.
All right, can you hear me, Jody?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you, Caz.
All right, so look, Dave's just asked the question, where do you think we're at?
I heard his question. So look, well, I mean, this is what I do anyway. I take a trip down memory lane every now and again, where I do what I call Cooker 101. So I always do a video every couple of months as I see my numbers from lots of people sort of waking up, and you can tell by the amount of people that, you know, they come in and they start talking about things like we were talking about 2 or 3 years ago. So Cooker 101 is where I just take them back through a journey of what we're up against at the moment. So that was last Friday, I think I did it. But yeah, I basically take everybody back through this from the COVID origin story in Wuhan, the Peter McCullough, the Robert Malone, the John Abramson, all the places where I started getting my information from, through to the Karen Kingston, Naomi Wolf, Ed Dowds, the Dr. Ann Paul, and, you know, the Pfizer documents, the freedom of expression, freedom of informations that we've got from the Therapeutic Good Association. And then, basically I let them branch off from there. The digital assets on our titles, the 2030 UN agenda, the World Health Organization collaborating centers, you know, where would you like to go with it? I mean, basically all I've done is continue to be a conduit for information for people as they wake up to try and say, which part do you want to fight? Because we need to be on every battlefront. So don't tell me that you can't do anything to help, because you know, you're full of shit. And what we've seen in the last month or so is we have a massive rush of people that suddenly care, been silent for 35 months, and now for the next month we'll have everybody wanting to help with the election. And then as soon as the vote goes against us, if it does, then it'll be back to silence, and it'll just be the likes of us 3-4 people doing what we've been doing for the last 3 years. So hopefully a few more will stay awake on the other side of it, Guru.
Oh, that's not a very good prognosis you got there, Jody. It's not great looking, you know, having a look over the bow out there. You're looking at rough weather then, mate.
No, we don't need their numbers.
Okay.
The majority of the masses that continue to just go left and right, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do to change them in the way. I think the indoctrination is too far, but every movement that I've ever seen has just needs some good, strong leaders to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we've just come through probably the most expensive money throw at propaganda that we've ever seen in this lifetime. It was physical. It was done by our families. Our own families turned on us. Our own friends turned on us. Our workplace turned on us. The internet turned on us. The mainstream media turned on us. The medical establishment turned on us, and we have turned that into an absolute unbreakable force because they are so sick of us. And people, like you said, have woken up. There's no way without a Guru and Caz. There is no way without a Guru and Caz that we make front cover newspaper that they finally, through freedom of interest, have admitted that they didn't have any science behind what they did. There is no way, Guru, that the work you guys have done and the work that people have stayed in this at the expense of their own health and friends and finance, there is no way we are where we are without the people we've got. And so when we start
if I can just comment on that and then keep going. But yeah, look, Kaz and I take that to heart, and Mel, mate, because we put a lot in, we ask for nothing, you know what I mean? And we just do what we got to do. But I think, I think that's just, we're not going to have everyone, God selected certain people, and he's made it pretty difficult for us here, Jody. He's picked a pretty superb team, but he hasn't given us too many. You know what I mean? The field's bare, mate. We got some great players. We got great halfbacks. I was talking today. We got some great prop forwards like the witness statement getting carried. You know what I mean? We got these things happening, but we're not a big side. We're a championship side, I believe, but we're not a big side. So it's up to us to push what we got to push. Yeah.
You're a soccer player.
Yeah.
In your prime, you're a soccer player. You know what it was like trying to get a few of good soccer players in the region together for a regional sort of conference. It didn't matter if you had a champion team, or and if you had a bunch of champions and you put them all together to go and play Argentina. Argentina, they owned the field, they owned the referees, they could move the goalposts when it suited them. You guys barely had enough money to put some shoes on when you went there to play against Argentina. I mean, this is what we're up against, right? It doesn't even matter how good we are as individual players.
You want to know something? My dad could have gone to England to play. My dad could have played for Australia, but he couldn't get boots, man. He could not afford a pair of boots, Jody.
This is what I'm saying, mate. This is 2,000 years of them. This is 2,000 years of them doing that, Yeah. And we've done all of what we've done. Is that me calling? Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're right.
Someone was calling me. I was thinking it was your end. We've done everything that we've done, mate. Not only just against the system, against every single other freedom fighting group that didn't think that what we were doing was right. I mean, I've lost more followers than most people in this game will get, just from continuing to speak my truth. That's the beauty of me. I'm fortunate enough to have a job that allows me to do this for the last 5 years without receiving a cent. There's 6 cents sitting in my Rumble account that I don't even know how to get out of there. But that could be the only time I make some serious money out of this talking. So it has never bothered me, the people's dislike for me of my opinion, because it is that. It's opinion. It's experience-based opinion. I've done 3,000 or 4,000 hours of research on it, like everybody else, listened to all the movies and watched all the shows and stuff. But we're still here, we're still standing, and we've suddenly become relevant, right? Because I've picked up 11,500 followers in the last 3 weeks because people are panicking because they're starting to see the truth come out about the jab, the truth come out about the UN. They're starting to see the World Health Organization's impacts. They're starting to see their land get taken off them. They're starting to see councils just march onto their property, start spraying chemicals and killing bees, killing chickens, and that's making people go, what the fuck? Why don't I have any rights? Well, as you said at the start of this, we are running a parallel corporate government. They have changed the definition of Australia. They have changed the constitution without referendum, and they've done it all since. It's been a lot further back than 1970.
Oh. Well, actually, I was gonna comment on that and bring this in because you did a stellar interview the other day with Wayne Glue.
Yeah,
they can't do it because the only law is ecclesiastical law under this. The only law. Now, what are they given? Go back to page 701 of your Constitution. It's got a diagram. Up the top, it says Commonwealth, quasi-sovereign. Underneath the Commonwealth is the Constitution. Why are they that way around? because the supremacy of the people is put up there. And why is it only quasi? Because we chose, through our constitution, to give areas of legislative authority to what? The Constitution? No. Through the Constitution to first the federal parliament, the 3 tiers.
We'll leave it there. It's a great interview if you haven't seen it, guys. But Wayne Glue certainly goes into the constitutional stuff that that he's really aware of, and that sort of stuff as well. But
yeah, I just did a 4-hour one on Friday night with Darren Dixon and Darren from Know Your Rights, and oh boy, if you want to know how much you don't know about constitutional legislation, have a chat with those guys. But
well, actually, that's interesting you should say that, because I wanted to bring this up as well, because Know Your Rights Group, they said the deal has been done. Albanese and Band have colluded to form government. Labor has put Greens second on the ballots except one. The deal scrap negative gearing on the second house and above, death duties, inheritance tax, freeze on rents for 2 years, and treble mining tax.
Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Same old crap every time they come out with right before an election. So we're in trouble. We got the trumpet of patriots who I thought that we might have had a bit of a gig in town there, guys. I was wrong. Guru's going to say it. They're a bunch of, I'm not going to say it, but I've sent messages to Miss Sue Ellen Wrightson. I'm going to treat you beautifully, Sue Ellen. I have sent messages. I have had no reply. I have asked direct frigging questions as to why they would be backing Labor in Queensland. Okay, that's the only question.
It's not just that. It's not just that. It's
I know
also
it's
this
not
one.
just that, but that's the only one I've asked so far, Kaz, and I can't get a reply.
Yeah, no, Jason Smart, he's running in the Liberal-held seat of Flinders in Victoria, and this morning he said he's resigned over the party's decision to place Ben Smith, a Climate 200 endorsed independent, second on the How to Vote card. Climate 200 is the teal. So he's actually resigned from it. So
so it's Guru going to be wrong again, and are you going to be right, Kaz? And that is, they're going to keep Albanese in with a deal with the Teals, because that looks like the most detrimental way to go, rather than have Dutton come in. Would you agree with that? Now, I'm not throwing the towel in yet. I'm a good fighter. I'll be into the 14th round.
No,
but
look, the
looks like. Yeah.
No, the both of them are. I'll bring Jody in a minute, but look, to me, the both of them are basically just mucking up so bad. And somebody has actually reported that Dutton's basically they're cooked because of what Dutton has or hasn't done. But it's the both of them, so they know people are pissed off. They know that people are looking for alternatives, so they're gearing the alternatives to give them the authority to get in.
Yep. Scummy little Adam Brandt, you little weasel. Yeah. Come in, Jody.
Mate, I don't take much notice of it. I'm not really interested in it. I mean, it's all a show. So
what's your recommendation then? You're not interested? Let's take Jody Loder's not interested. He don't give a shit about the election. What do you think, Jody Loder, that we should do as Australians?
Well, you've got 3 choices, right? And one of them's too late now, right? So you had the country had 35 months to take part and give a shit and get behind the person that they wanted to put forward, not wait until 4 weeks out and then run a heap of independents and start trying to marry up, all right? Because that doesn't give enough time. It makes an easy target. So you're either incompetent as a federal member, or as a federal candidate, you're incompetent, or you are nefariously doing it, because this has been 35 months. Information's been out there. We knew what we had to do. We came higher than we'd ever had before in percentage-wise of freedom fighting groups. But then we absolutely got whooped in Queensland and got whooped Western Australia, and they re-voted for Labor in Victoria. So the sentiments aren't getting through, right? So because we're not doing the work. So I've pushed and pushed and pushed through groups like NERA, the National Electoral Representative Association, to form working bodies under the 151 electoral members to make sure that we are constantly up their ass and reading the legislation that's been pushed through over the last year, to make sure that the bureaucrats aren't the only person whispering in the ears of the politicians, because it is a lot of paperwork for one person to read. So the option was to, regardless amount of, no matter what happens in this election, whoever you want to go in and vote for, right? And remembering that, as far as I'm concerned, voting is not compulsory, attendance is. Because when you walk under Section 245 of the Commonwealth Electoral Act 1918, it says that your attendance you have to attend the centre and then cast your vote. Well, why is it that once you've got your name ticked off in your all capital letters, they don't care if you draw a dick picture on there, they don't care if you donkey vote, nobody checks to make sure that it's a valid vote. As long as you've shown up and ticked off and done your part as a good little slave, they don't give a shit what you put in the box after that, because they know there's no chance in hell of getting a 51% informal vote count, and that has to be across the country, not across your electorate. So, so the secondary option is what Karen Brewer is telling everybody to do, and a lot of people got hold of that in the freedom movement and ran with it, which is attend, and then strike off all of the candidates and write no candidates to fulfill my will on the bottom. Again, it counts as an informal vote and doesn't really, unless you hit 51% of the country, according to that legislation, nobody will actually look at the paperwork and go, why? It's just formal vote, informal vote, formal vote, informal vote, right? So the individual voting sites probably won't even understand what people are doing. It's just classified the same as a donkey vote. Wayne Glue said to attend with a letter to ask the AEC member or the representative for the polling booth to sign a letter on your behalf saying, I, Jody of the House Low, attended the polling booth on said date and was unable to find a lawful candidate to strike my vote for. Why? Why not? And take that letter back as your evidence to serve to them when they send you the notification to say that you failed the vote, to actually put some sort of legislative and court-based paperwork back to them to say, why have you not followed the Imperial Act? The Imperial Act that gives the governor's job to select the candidates that we are to elect, and that's what his thinking is with that. So there's quite a few of them. Derek from Educate for Protection is talking about the writs being unconstitutional. So
we've got that. Hey, hang on, let me just bring this in.
The whole thing is bullshit. The whole thing's
are we looking at the Commonwealth of Australia House of Reps for Queensland? The word witness is very important. It says Her Excellency the Honourable Sam Mostyn, Governor General of the Commonwealth of Australia in first letter capital. The rest is in lowercase. It's not the same Commonwealth of Australia as at the top of the page, which is registered as a company in the United States of America in Washington, D.C. But hold on, why is Sam Mostyn on your screen with her signature on the bottom right? Why is she a witness? This is coming under Section 32 of the Commonwealth Constitution. The Governor-General must sign the writs for the House of Representatives. Now, Nick, can I please get you to scroll down maybe a little bit further below that signature? Stop there. Stop there. That's great. Yeah. Don Farrell. Who the heck is Don Farrell? He's a Labor senator from South Australia. He signed your national referendum for the voice last year, or in October 2023, I should say. He is not authorised to sign the writ. It's broken. The Australian Governor-General, Sam Mostyn, who is not recognised by Charlie or the Queen when she was here, she's a public servant. She is the witness. The guy who signs the bottom of the page, Don Farrell, is the one who issues the contract, the writ. Don Farrell has no law in this country to sign the bottom of the page for the House of Representatives for Peter Dutton.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people bringing out a lot of information, and when you go and back check it all, it's all correct. It's an absolute quagmire of absolute bullshit out there, Jody.
I've not been able to get a full answer off anyone. Everybody gives you these, multifaceted overlaying things. What my guess is, when the Unidroit was signed in 1975, that gave the top of the pyramid, the top of the trust control to Rome, and America has been 1/3 the military-industrial complex, the London, Washington DC, London DC, and the Vatican City, the only three places of sovereignty in the world that nobody's ever been born on, that we're not allowed to be. Yep. I believe that Rome took over as through the Unidroit as the trustee, and I believe that America is operating as the company trading as the Commonwealth of Australia Proprietary Limited.
Okay.
that's seems to be the only way to make sense to me of all the things that are going on. Because
it's technically it's not though. This is why we lose court cases, okay? Because they've done something very sneaky. What it is they've actually got, so here what it is they've got the Commonwealth of Australia. That's where it is there, right? But then if you actually look at what it is, it's a Form 18K. Oh, sorry, let me go back there. Okay, so here. So if you go down here, what you'll see that it's a, what is it? Company information. And it's technically a Form 18K. And why they've been really sneaky about this is when you look at what a Form 18K is, here we go. So that's Australia, Form 18K, okay? So that's listed the Commonwealth of Australia. But then when you actually look at what a Form 18K is, you find out how they've been able to kind of sneak their way around it. And this would go with the United States as well. So what it is it's a Form 18K applies to non-US sovereign governments and their political entities to file annual reports. So, but they're not sovereign. We the people are sovereign. That's what it says in the preamble to the Constitution. It says the people of Australia are the sovereigns.
So what we've got is yeah, that's right. And what we've got here is a whole bag of bullshit, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of different stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that we all know is correct, but how they've done it and how they've hidden it. It's like, Australia is hidden in the Tax Act, you know what I mean? Like, where the three islands actually contain Australia. It's all bullshit. But, okay, let's just talk about a couple of people because people want us to, go in and just talk about a few people. So, Gerard Rennick, Michael Neal, and let's just say Rod Culleton. With my quick prognosis, are probably the only three people it seems that I could put any trust in at the moment. Now, the problem with them is, the Great Australian Party seems okay, but the other two are getting hooked up with other people. They're going to bring them down. Okay, that's what I see happening. Okay, so have we got a good man in Gerard Rennick? Yes, I believe so. Have we got a good man in Michael O'Neill? I certainly believe so. Have we got a good man in Rod Culleton? I believe so. I don't believe we've got another good man in Australia. So what do we do here, guys? What do we do with these three guys who we may think, do hold keys to the locks? Okay, but how do we, when everything's selected, we've got three people there that I can name. Can you name any more, Jody? And I hope you can.
Nah, I wouldn't trust any of them as far as I can throw them. Only because of what I've known from Rod Culleton, how long Rod Culleton has been in there sticking it to them. If you go back and watch all of his maiden speech in the Parliament House, if you watch all of his High Court, committee stuff, if you watch him in detail, what the length he went to try and get the banking and through the banking royal commissions and through the Constitution, through the Parliament, every single person that's been in there for any length of time while Rod's been in there and those videos are available are treasonous pigs, and they know what they've done. So every single one sitting member at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, is gone. If they haven't started doing that. So that's my only complaint about Rennick is that he's never talked about the Constitution. He is fantastic for the COVID stuff, for the finance stuff, for all those sorts of things. But he is doing what they want them to do, which is vote or get voted for popularity, for popular decisions, right? And that is not what our Constitution was for. We, the people, the Commonwealth of Australia, wrote the Constitution to tell them, the government, how to govern the affairs of our country. That's it. I don't want their opinion. I don't want their hearsay. I don't even care. We might vote for them on their experiences, but we want them to be saying, as per this Constitution, we want them to be testing, where do we get the power from? We want them to be unwinding. Not one of them has ever spoken about the Lima Declaration. Jason Miles is the only person I've ever really seen go after the Lima Declaration. Nobody ever speaks about UniDroit. Nobody talks about the Australian Act. Nobody talks about the Royal Styles and Titles Act that changed the Commonwealth, to the Commonwealth of Australia Proprietary Limited and the Queen of England to the Queen of Australia. None of them really get into it. So Rod Culleton. Okay,
so all we got left is, can we just talk about Michael O'Neill for a minute? Is Michael O'Neill anything that we can, you know, maybe just rest our hat on the door as we come in, Jody. I don't know, man, but we got to ask these questions. What's your thoughts?
Look, I don't know what to say to the people, mate. The people are messaging me flat out all day, asking me stuff, and I'm like, where have you been, guys? We had 35 months to do this, and now you're worried about it in the last month. Like, fuck you. No offense. I'm done. I'm not going to be answering any more questions. Like, the people that know what to do, the people that have stood their ground, whether the decision's right or wrong, it's yours, right? So in your heart, if you've done the work, if you've helped out, if you've made your decision, stand by it. Grow some balls and stand by it, right? Whoever you decide to vote on. If you think that this isn't going to be a political propaganda example where every day someone's going to bring out something new about this person and you won't have time to recall it, but you will remember it. Psychology tells me that if Caz, before she met me, found out someone that she didn't even know said Jody Lowe's a dickhead, it takes 6 weeks of me interacting with Caz, no matter what I am, for her to get a new opinion of me, right? Because we value cheap and easy opinions of things without looking up and standing our ground on what we truly believe in. We are like fucking kites and we blow back and forth with the wind, right? So if we believed in something enough to have done enough research and got to that person and stood with them and listened to them and traveled around with them and helped them campaign, right? The little bits of nitty gritty shit that comes from the media won't be enough to rock us because we are humans and we're not voting fucking robots in there. So we're going to have to accept that they are fallible in some ways because we are. But yet,
the exact point.
Me and you, me and you judge constantly.
The exact point I wanted to make. Okay, we've got nobody except us, and that was the point. The whole point I wanted to make, Jody. There, going through that rigmarole of bullshit. All right, we haven't got anyone. We've got us people. We got the witness statement. We got the Light newspaper. We got the sorry guys, it's that the other newspaper up here.
The Lighthouse.
Yeah, that's the one in Western Australia. What's ours? The corruption whistleblower. Sorry about that, guys. All right, we've got all these different things going on. I've got more people coming on the show that have got other stuff for you in the cease and desist and that, guys. But pressure from us people and us people grouping together and getting into your councils and starting to take things back is the only. I don't know what we're going to do here, guys. Over the weekend, I've stayed away. I've put a couple of posts out here and there, but bugger all, I've stayed away from everything. I haven't answered phones. I haven't been really on social media. I've just taken the whole Easter weekend to just sit back a little bit, you know what I mean, and go, well, where are we? What can we do here?
One of the things that I'm finding odd as well, Dave, on that is the fact that this mainstream media has come out with the Dan Andrews story.
Has obtained a single document known as Document 34, released under Freedom of Information. It's one email between then Chief Health Officer Professor Brett Sutton and the Health Department's Public Health Commander Finn Romanes, the senior public servant who issues directions under an already declared state of emergency. Mr. Romanes writes at 5 p.m. on a Sunday, having been off duty for 2 days and having missed key conversations and considerations, I have not seen any specific written assessment of the requirement for a curfew.
Goes on to say that basically it was a political decision and not related, which is what we've been saying. But my question is this: where are the arrests? Where are the arrests?
Exactly.
Like, where are the arrests? Arrest them already.
Yeah, but I mean, I've put plenty of evidence out about the lady. I'm just trying to look for her name. So her name is she's what's her name? She is Sutton's sister-in-law. That's what this video was about. So I just put a video out sort of tying it in. Jane Helton, right? So Jane Helton sits on the board of CEPI, which was already starting for epidemic viral responses in 19. But then she sat on the board of the of that plan. What was it? Plan not 201 or whatever. Event 201, the tabletop exercise event 201, which was in October 2019. She sat on the board of a swine flu that transferred corona bat virus that transferred to a pig and a pig to the person to person. That was what they ran, that event 201. At the same time as John C. Smith of Reuters was setting up all of the backhouse for the fact checkers into all the social medias because of the apparent misinformation and disinformation campaign through the Indian election. Why would anybody in the West give a fuck about misinformation in the Indian election? But it was set up. It was set up, ready to go, just as that was it was rolled out in the February of 2020. At the same time as the head woman from the BBC rolled out their Trusted News initiative, right, which was formulated in September 2019. And what do you know? December 2019, they just happened to have it ready to go. They didn't realize it was going to be needed straight away, but that made every media outlet in the West speak exactly the same time, saying the same things. Now, that woman, Holton, is Brett Sutton's sister-in-law. So you tell me that hasn't have something to do with the fact that he allowed Gates to come here with Moderna, use the taxpayers' money to set up a Moderna facility for mRNA vaccinations in the bio division in Victoria. He finishes his job after ticking all the boxes and paying all the checks, and then goes over and then gets a comfy directorship, in that security lab. I mean, I don't need any email to say that the government made the wrong decision. I need them to be jailed for life way before that because of the bullshit that's gone, clearly evidence that should have been, way before that email. And they'll just come back to emergency use authorization. It's why they had to crush ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, monoclonal antibodies, and all of the different things that are out there, because that emergency use authorization has got so many draconian sort of measures in there that gave them ultimate power. So they might get a slap on the wrist, they might look embarrassed, but we've let them all stand down and go to other positions, and they will continue to get their government-funded pension long after people are throwing eggs at them in the street. But it shows you what sort of a weak country it is that we haven't even had someone like Dan Andrews punched in the face. Everybody's like, oh, really proud because we turn our back on him and don't let him come to the pub. I'm like, fucking Christ! In this country, you would have got punched in the mouth in the 80s, for doing what he did, and now that he hasn't got any power, but
you just touched on a really good point, though, Jody. The media is acting like the second branch of government, and they are just protecting them at all costs. And they're so treasonous and so traitorous. And we're the ones that get called cookers, and we've been right. What have we been wrong about? Like, they call us cookers because we're doing the job of what the media should be doing, and we've got to put up with this barrage of abuse. I mean,
and we won another one. We just won another one because the CDC has come out and said that they have been tracking the unvaccinated for the last 3 years. Oh, wow. Oh, really? Yeah. We haven't been wrong about a thing, mate. Not one thing.
Their behaviour has been just so outrageous, though, that it's just like what do we do at this point in time? Because there's not actually that many of them. If we could just break through and get the truth out there.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? The people are the numbers. The people are the power. We can't even convince the people that they have the power to stand above the government through the constitutional right. So, that makes it difficult. When I've got endless amounts of letters here. I've got 7 cases going with them at the moment against 3 lots of rates, two speeding fine, a toll fine. What else have I got? 2 no voting fines. So I'm into them. I'm into them at every level on using 3-step processes of law to question them about with the rates. Where do they get their head of power from in Section 51 of the Constitution? How do they comply with the tax regulations of Section 55? Can
I just answer someone? Pat, whoever it is, you're full of negativity. Now, none of us are leaders on the screen here, and we would never be. This is some of your comments. We don't want to be leaders, all right? But at least we're sitting here trying to do something. Not like your negativity bullshit. Oh, I'm leaving now. This is all crap. Stick your fucking head in the comments and make some useful fucking comment, all right? Instead of just being a dickhead. So if you're a troll, get the fuck. I'll block you later. And if you're not, get in here with a fucking constructive fucking comment instead of being a dickhead. Thanks.
Yeah. I don't take any notice of them, mate, because this is what they've done.
Mate, but that one's really been pissing me off.
They dissolve. Like I said, it's not been a brag. A lot of people can understand what I'm saying, right? This has been a journey for self. This has been a journey back to my heart, work out my trauma. Why am I coercible? What do I need to escape with my escapisms? I gave up the alcohol, the caffeinated soda. These were lifelong addictions since I was 13, 14, 15-year-old, I'm back to exercising all the time. I filtered my water. I eat organic food. We got rid of a lot of the takeaway. What else did I do? We got rid of Woolworths and Coles at the expense of organics, right? But we got the power ready. We got all the things ready for the big 10 days of darkness. I sleep every day knowing that if it starts tomorrow, it starts tomorrow. I don't give a fuck. I've got my safe there. I did what I was supposed to do. I got my self-managed super fund. You don't want to support BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street? Stop whinging about it and go and get self-managed super fund. Like that's
exactly
$4 trillion of your money is in there. I have a massive list on that site that challenges people every day to say, stop telling me about what a politician that you give your power is going to do for you and actually tell me what you're doing for yourself. Because if you've just been sitting around waiting for the vote and then you don't have a plan of what's going to happen if it doesn't go your way, because there's a fair chance it won't go your way, right?
No, I think they're going to steal it. I think they're going to steal it.
Go and have a look for the last 120 years, right, since Barton became the first prime minister. Go and have a look. Lib lab, 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 lab. What is there ever in there just a FON? Is there ever just a UAP just once? No, there's not, because that they have convinced us that the two-party preferred system is the way to go, and they at some stages were starting to look like, oh shit, these other heads of these snakes might have a run, so they buckled them up too. So now you've got 4 heads of the same snake just taking turns at running our country from the ground and selling all of our manufacturing off. So the people like yourself who become the conduit, and myself, yourselves, and me that have become the conduits for the alternative media source, so that it's not all bullshit. But it is the obligation of every single person here that wants to be protected by their rights to know them. And if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. So I listen to all day, every day, people complaining about about rates, and I'm like, have you learnt and challenged them? Have you sent your letters off to start challenging them and saying, and they go, oh, but does it work? You know what doesn't work? Doing fucking nothing. That doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
Can I win the lotto? Can I win the lotto without a ticket? No. Will I win the lotto with a ticket? Probably not. But I tell you what, I'll be a damn sight closer than not having a crack at it. So I'll either die on my knees, die on my feet, then live on my knees, you know what I mean? So stop telling me about what someone else has got to do for you to make this country better. This is your country, right? So this is why I say, if you want to vote, if you believe that the electoral system has still got the legs after all of the legislation changes to actually make our votes count, with the way that they snuck around and who's voting for things, and like you just showed, who signs for it, great. Shut up and get out on the campaign trail with the people that you want to see win, and do everything you can. Put your life on hold, because Jason Miles told me it cost him better than 60,000 cash of his own pocket, let alone the endless months and sleepless nights of driving around all day, every day, right? While people are like, oh, no, Jason, I shared your post. Fuck me. If you want this country, it's yours. Take it. If you don't want the country, stop fucking whinging, learn Chinese or something along those lines, because that's where we're heading, right? You've said this politely, you've said this calmly, you've said it angrily for as long as I've been listening to you, Guru and Caz, and the people are still sitting. But I've found a people. I've gone away from all of the other freedom groups that just continue to tell me that all we got to do is just unite and all wear the same colors and all sing the same song and all bang the same drum. And I've gone away from that, and I've gone, okay, I have the opportunity to get out of the private system and into the public, and doing so, that means that I can learn the legislation that gives them the power over me. My wife is learning the system to take back our land given rights right back to that constitutional basis. That's what we're doing, right? That's our plan. Neither of those require us to vote, because I don't believe that the political system is in any shape to fix itself. It is too big of a system. The World Health Organization has got 46 collaboration centers around this country that have been here for about 9 years, working closely with people like our TGA and all of our medical departments each of the state. They are already to roll out the 300 international health regulation changes that get voted on later in this year, and the framework for the Pandemic Preparedness Treaty. So I don't trust the medical establishment. The UN, through the UNDRR, the disaster risk disaster risk reduction plans, the UN is using the ABN and the Council's third tier of government to come in sideways through that business opportunity to change the way we manage our climates, and that is our climate change stuff. So that is our 15-minute cities. And it's all written in a thing called the Sendai framework, right? Which gives them the opportunities that should you, where you're living right there, Guru, even if you're completely paid up everything, because you're in the risk of a zone of a tsunami should that something go wrong, or a cyclone should one come down there, the Sendai framework gives them the ability to come down and pick you up and take your boat and moor it over in the bottom of South Australia or wherever they want, or give you a little tiny home on the edge of one of the cities, because they've signed that in Japan, not more than 6 months ago. So those guys are in every single council, including the one that I just posted yesterday, which was a new one that I'm seeing out there. It's called the it's too hard trying to run two screens at the same time. But if you go to my site, you'll see the it's just there's tens and thousands of them, all little trickle downs from the 2030 UN 2030 agenda, and they are all just coming in through there. And that's why they with the land titles where they've voided all your paper copies for all the people out there saying, oh, I own my property. Stop paying rates in the public system and see how you go. Go to court and tick your name off as the capitalized version of yourself, and see how the straw man goes representing himself against the law. Like, it's I've been showing people in the Acts Interpretation Act, section 2B, the definition of person in there, right? So when you go to the law books, which is the Black's Law Dictionary is backing most of our stuff, the definition of person is one of two things. It says 1, a human being; 2, a corporate entity or body corporate, right? Corporation or body corporate. Very clearly defined, 1 or 2. When you go to the Acts Interpretation Act, the definition of person says blah, 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 a corporate as well as an individual. And so they use legalese conjoining words, right? That's a conjunction. They use legalese to say fish and chips. So when we start to understand the birthing certificate with the God-given Christian name, the family name, sorry, I'm spluttering. When you go to your birth certificate and the given name, right, for your parents is written there in the lowercase, usually with the uppercase first letter, lowercase rest of the letters, and then you have your capitalized version. That is where they incorporate you. And so from that point onwards, they incorporate you, because even by the very definition of person in there, a corporate as well as an individual means steak and chips. It means that they're two different things, but when you order them, you know that they're going to come on the plate together. So just sneaky little legalese things that they've just got rolling through all of this paperwork just makes it very difficult for people to understand, why do I have to pay for everything? Why don't I get the coal miner goes to the underground coal mine and he digs out thermal coal. So you would think that you'd get a 26 millionth share of that thermal coal, Guru. Would that be fair? That's the country's coal.
Yeah, you think something,
Do we get a share? No, they say all of that money goes to the government for taxes and schooling and medical and hospitals. And you're like, oh, well, that's okay. So I must get a full wage from what I do then. They say, well, yeah, sort of. And you say, well, what do you mean? And they say, well, no, you actually pay tax, and because you live out in the bush and you're doing a really dangerous job, you pay shitloads of tax. And you're like, far out, that seems rough. What does that tax do? Oh, it also goes to the schools and the governments, and it pays $900 million for the federal and state debt of $1.5 trillion a week, right? $900 million a week in interest on our $1.5 trillion worth of federal and state debt. You go, phew, well, I guess we should get free power then, since I just dug out all that thermal coal and I haven't made any money out of that yet. They said, no, actually you get 3 times, you've got to pay 3 times the average per capita of any other country in the world that has the rich resources that you have. And oh, by the way, 86% of our country's minerals and resources are foreign owned. So if everybody out there still wants to sit around thinking that the one thing that they can do to make a difference is vote, absolutely dreaming. It should be on your to-do list, like a grocery shop. Drop in and vote for Gerard Rennick. If I was forced by gunpoint to vote for someone, I would vote for Gerard Rennick. Even though I said before that he's not talking about the corruption and that sort of stuff. It's a popular vote. He's talking about the things that I think that are most necessary. I'm not a constitutionalist by heart. I'm not a purist. I don't believe in writing down rules so that everybody can act properly. I believe that we should already know that in our hearts what's right and what's wrong. I don't need someone to tell me from a book, what it is, right? So that's my opinion of Gerard Rennick. Is that I would vote for him hands down, and I'd probably have Rod Carlson in there as my second because he's going to teach a lot of those people again how to get that constitutional power back so that we can trust the decisions that are made. That's it, right? Otherwise, I'm going to continue on my merry journey to make sure that I am living in the private while I'm getting off the ship so that I can get myself back to lawful standing so that when they come knocking on my door to call me a domestic terrorist, which is what they've been calling me recently, I know that I can't have all my shit taken off me because I've got myself back into some sort of internationally recognized standard because they hold international law seemingly higher than they do our fucking constitution because they've taken our maritime, they've taken our system off land onto a maritime-based system, and that's the shit that I've learned in the last year.
And if Phil, I'm not saying you're wrong, mate, but if you can show me some proof of that, get it over to me, mate, in a DM, will you? Because if that's right and that's correct, I'll be the first one to put it out there, Blake. Don't you worry about that.
That's it. Jody, awesome. Have you got any final thoughts before Dave wraps up? And we are being taken out by, what are we being taken out? The Crosby family, they've done a Christian one, so it was really cool. That'll be really cool.
Jody?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going straight to it.
No. Final words.
The time for bullshitting's over. You've had 3 years to get ready for this vote. If you're not ready for the vote by now, then get ready for what's coming on the other side of it. Because as I just showed you, Cooker 101, that's a small fraction of my brain of what's actually going on and what we're up against. And the amount of information that we've retained, I've done greater than 4,000 hours study, so I classify myself as a master chef, not a cooker. Gave myself a certificate the other day because I reckon we must have upgraded ourselves by now, Caz. Surely we couldn't, we've been cooking for long enough. We must know, we start our own fucking pub. But there's still a lot of people out there that are just sitting back saying, oh, who to vote for, what's going to make, and I'm like, no, you need to know your rights. If you don't know your constitutional rights, like I didn't, then you don't know who to vote for because you're just voting for popular conversation. And the easiest way for us to be defeated when they are voting for popularity contests is with education and media. Because if you're not doing it from a constitutional point of view, if you're not doing it from a law-based point of view, when someone says, I want to paint everything pink, if your federal member isn't saying under Section 37 of the Constitution, it is not lawful to do that without a referendum, then they're full of shit. But if they just go out to do a public opinion poll on Facebook, hey, what do you think about going pink? And everyone says, yeah, go pink. Well, you might be happy that your country is pink, but you will fundamentally be walking away from the Constitution that gives you the power, and that's what they're relying on you to do. Yep. So be very careful with who you're voting for, because if they don't understand the Constitution, you don't understand it, all of your power is getting stripped away until you will be speaking another language. That's my
final statement. On that other language, Jody, you're going to give me the closing for the show. Don't panic, guys, because we got our own Chinese police station, so they'll be able to look after you when you have to learn Mandarin because they're already here. That's how far down the friggin' line we are, guys. All right? Jesus is the reason for the season. Let's go out with this song, guys, and I think we all sort of start praying and working out what we ought to do, right? What we feel like we should do, not be, pushed by other people, other concerns, all right? Discern for yourself what you should be doing at this time. Good night, folks. Hope everyone had a great Easter. Thanks again, Jody. Brilliant, son.
Thanks for having me on. See you guys.
Hey,
all my words fall short. I've got nothing new. How could I express all my gratitude? I can sing these songs as I often do, but every song must end, and you never do. So